now's the time I take a swig of wine, right? Obviously, I'm not Korean. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Very excited. I'm speaking about something I'm very passionate about, so it's very easy for me. It's an honor. What's that? Oh, thank you. Don't scold me. Welcome, people. Class of 2012. I feel like I'm at Harvard speaking. Thank you. It's okay if I talk now? It's okay? Thank you. Wow, it's so formal. I feel so formal. Okay, excellent. Honored to be here, as I was saying. I have a very deep, those of you who don't know me, those of you who do know me, I come from a very small town in Connecticut, small little farm town called Durham, literally where we used to have milk brought to our doorstep every single day. So it's just super, super fresh. I come from a very big family. There's I have 6 siblings. There's 5 girls, 2 boys. I was constantly tortured as a young boy by my sisters, being with makeup and all that stuff. I'm sure there was a good point to that too. But my father's Dominican, my mother's Italian. My parents were always about exposing me to the world, exposing me to new things, exposing me to I never had ice cream. I never had Oreo cookies. I never had Chips Ahoy. I wish I'm getting a little hungry right now. But I never had these things growing up. I remember going to school when I was in first grade, and I'd be so excited at the lunch. I would go stand at the corner, wait for the bus with my little Dukes of Hazzard lunchbox, and be so excited to open it up when I got to school with all my friends sitting around as everybody's pulling out their turkey club, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I open it up and I see cow's tongue sandwich, pickled pig's feet. So obviously nobody wanted to trade lunches with me. So that's probably why I'm so skinny today. But the lesson that my parents were teaching me at the time, it was a very tough lesson, but they were trying to open up my mind and see to expose me to something other than what I was, what was around me, and show me other parts of the world and expose me to flavors that maybe I didn't understand then, but I definitely do understand now. Coming from a small town, I definitely had big dreams, big ambitions. I went to a culinary school in Connecticut, and then I had bigger dreams and bigger ambitions, so then I went to the Culinary Institute of America in upstate New York. I was there for 3 years, and then I was very fortunate enough after, I was awarded a fellowship, and after I completed that fellowship, the chef instructor said, "Where would you like to go work? You could go anywhere in the world." He's like, "You want to go to France? Where would you like to go?" He's like, if I could impart some guidance here, I would love to send you to this chef who was the former chef of Lutèce under André Saltner. His name was Christian Bertrand, and I worked with him for 3 years. And he really taught me the essence of humility. He was very soft-spoken man, French, and he never yelled until I started working for him. I think time after time I would just press his buttons, but every single day I had, as I said, I had something inside me, bigger dreams, bigger aspirations, and as he would yell at me constantly, I would go in earlier and earlier and earlier every single day, and I'm sure when he was anticipated to go to work early and have some peace of mind, he saw me at the doorstep waiting for him to open the door. So I worked with him for 3 years, and once again, the offer was extended. Eventually, he gave me the pat on the back and said, "Where would you like to go work?" It's like, if I could make one recommendation, I think you should go work for the hottest chef in the country, probably the world, who was Jean-Georges. One of the greatest stories of my life was my first time. I'm a country kid, right? I get on the Metro North. I go to Jean-Georges, which is in Columbus Circle, the big towers there. There's like limousines, all these black Escalades. Of course, I'm, very timid and very nervous, and I walk in and I see Jean-Georges. He says hello to me, or at least I thought he said hello to me. I couldn't understand him. But he's like, follow me, follow me, follow me. I'm like, okay, chef. Okay, so I'm following him in this beautiful, pristine, like gleaming kitchen. The kitchen is just glowing. I really feel like I'm in heaven, a culinary heaven. And he's like, come here. And he just whispers almost in my ear, and he's like, come here, almost like a father would say to a child. And he just takes the oven door of this beautiful French oven and just pulls the door down. He's like, hold it. And I held it, and it literally just dropped. It was just so heavy, but it was so beautiful. And then right there and then, I fell in love. And I fell in love more so with cooking. My heart was racing. I don't even think I remembered anything he said after that. I knew I had to be here. I had to be with the best. And whatever it took at any extreme, that's what I would do. So after that, we sat down, and he's like, so when I worked for this Chef Bertrand in Connecticut, I was making fairly decent money, maybe like over $50,000 at a young age, which I probably shouldn't have been making. So Jean-Georges is like, what do you think? I said, it's amazing. It's everything that I've ever wanted in my life. So he's like, I can offer you $6.50. I said, perfect. Thank you so much, chef. Needless to say, I'm back on the Metro North, back to, I'm on cloud 9. I'm like strutting my stuff, going on the Metro North. And I'm thinking, get my phone out, $6.50 times 40. Oh my God, how am I going to pay rent? I literally get off the Metro North in Stamford. First thing I do, pass by my home, I go right to the bank and I take out a loan, a $13,000 loan to support my dream. I never told anybody. I was just so convicted, and I had so much emotion and so much passion. And I actually knew that I wanted to be like Jean-Georges, or if, as daring as this is, I wanted to be better than Jean-Georges. And I would, by any means, I would make that mission my goal in life. So I worked at Jean-Georges, and it was the biggest honor of my life. I would commute for 1 year straight. I would commute 4 hours total, 2 hours each way. There were times we would do back-to-back doubles, 18-hour shifts, and I would probably get 3 hours of sleep. Sometimes I'd even sleep at Grand Central or sleep in the locker room. But I was just so convicted. At that point of cooking with Jean-Georges, I understood, galangal, ginger, lemongrass, kaffir lime. I'm like, wow, I get it. This is amazing. About a year and a half, I actually moved through the ranks very quickly. He gave me a promotion to sous chef at a very young age, and I said, it's the biggest honor of my life. Of course I'm going to take it. A week later, just something kept on tugging at me, and I was like, it's not that I feel like I know all of that, but I feel like there was something in my head was just saying, like, there's more. I was thinking about things my parents would always say, be cultural, see the world. So I went back the following week, and I said, Jean-Georges, I sat him down, I said, it's the biggest honor that you asked me, you gave me this promotion, but I feel like now it's time for me to spread my wings and see what the world's about. So he supported, and he sent me, or I went to Asia, but he actually set up some things for me out there as well. And it's as if when I arrived, my first location was in Thailand. It was as if I saw for the first time. I fell in love. The flavors just being so vibrant, knowing the different types of cilantro and different types of cinnamon, and just seeing things that I've never seen before. I was in shock, and I just never wanted to go back. So I spent a lot of time out there, Thailand, Vietnam, Hong Kong. And then I came back to New York City. I opened a restaurant, and then I eventually went back to work for Jean-Georges. And there was actually no positions, and he just created a position for me. So I owe a lot of my inspiration to Asian cookery and to the chef that I am today, to Jean-Georges. So I'm trying to think where to go next. Any questions? Any questions? Concerns? No? Feel free to be interactive if you like. If you have a joke, please tell it. So after that, working with, so my book, Flavor Exposed. So that was my inspiration of Asian cookery. And that brings me to my book, Flavor Exposed, which I'm super, super proud of. And for me, writing a book wasn't about going to see my picture, that pretty cover on, not about seeing my picture at Barnes & Nobles or wherever it's being sold. It's about, I think it's about, one, sharing my knowledge with people, sharing my experiences of life. But to this day, I think so basically the way the book is composed, there's 7 different chapters. There's the chapters are broken up into flavor profiles. So it's not like chapter 1, chapter 2. It's sweet, sour, salty, bitter, umami. And within each chapter is a story of my life that made me the person that I am today, speaking in front of you. So, for example, umami is about my mommy. Sweet is about my inspiration, which was my Aunt Carmen, who passed away my Dominican aunt, who passed away about 20 years ago. And was really, as Jean-Georges taught me how to, quote-unquote, seduce people's palates and really excite people and orchestrate flavors in people's mouths. My Aunt Carmen taught me, so when my family would go to Queens here in New York, coming from Connecticut, my brothers and sisters would literally slam the door open and run past the kitchen to go play outside, and I would literally, the flavors, as soon as you would open the door, there's just wafts of these aromas just coming from the kitchen. You could just feel her love, and it was almost like a tidal wave of flavors and essences and her passion. And I would literally just go right, 8 years old, I would go right to the kitchen, pull up a little bar stool, and just, get up there and just watch her with my mouth open for hours. And literally, as it was time to serve this beautiful feast, she would just sit there at the head of the table and just watch everybody eat, and she wouldn't even eat. And that really just taught me, and she received so much pleasure and gratification from that, and that really, I think that was it for me. At that point in time, I was totally convicted in love, and the essence of love for cooking was was a straight arrow to my heart. So the book, Sweet Chapter, was that. Bitter Chapter is about I think a lot of times in life people always talk about their successes, but what about their failures? I think failures, successes, they define you. They define you, and I think it's very important to use failures, failures as benchmarks and guiding points through life. And Bitter Chapter is about an experience that I had. I had a restaurant called Yum Cha in the West Village, and within 3 months, literally, I would probably say every 4-star chef in New York City had eaten that. Even Alain Ducasse from France came. Paul Bocuse from Lyon came to eat there. Within 3 months, it was voted best restaurant by Gourmet magazine in the country. And then I think it was the 4th month, my partner and I, who was had a club background, decided that he wanted to change up the vision while we were so busy. And I just didn't agree with him. So eventually he asked me and later then forced me to leave. So as I'm leaving the restaurant on a beautiful sunny day, right before service at 5 o'clock, I'm walking down Bedford Street, and I look behind me, and I see a sea of people, basically the whole staff, both front and back of the house, waiters and waitresses and managers actually left the restaurant to support me. So as I was so devastated about the closure, because you have to understand, I live and die. I know God only put me on this earth to cook and to inspire and to motivate people and be, quote unquote, a true extractor of flavors and a true extractor of individuals. I probably went through a month of where, I didn't leave my apartment. I was just totally shattered. And at this point, Alain Ducasse, I received an email from him stating that he wanted to meet me, and I thought somebody was playing a practical joke on me. So this email header said, Ducasse wants to meet you, and I'm like, I didn't even open the email. 3 weeks later, I receive another email, Ducasse wants to meet you. I'm like, wow, okay, holy shit, this must be real. So I open it up, and it is real. So then I go to the Essex House at the time, and I'm, all dappered up. I'm feeling pretty confident. I took a shower. It's a tough crowd. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here to meet Mr. Ducasse, and the French gentleman is he's looking me up and down, and he's like, who are you? I'm like, I'm Angelo Sosa. I'm here to meet Mr. Ducasse. So they kind of questioned that, and about after 45 minutes of questioning and interrogation, I was brought to a room. I met the director of Alain Ducasse North America. There's basically three chairs, one to the left, one in the middle, one to the right. I'm sitting in the left. Hervé is sitting on the right, the director. Next thing I know, Ducasse just walks, triumphantly walks into the room, just sits right in the middle, and turns to me, shakes my hand, turns to Hervé, is just speaking French. I have no clue what the heck is going on. I feel like I'm in an Alfred Hitchcock movie. And then this is the day Michelin Guide came out, and he was awarded 3 Michelin stars. Picks up the phone. I'm thinking that's great news. He just starts yelling. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Is there a fire somewhere? Slams the phone down, turns to me. He says, you're coming to France. Turns to Hervé, make it happen. Just gets up and just walks out. And I'm like, Hervé, what's going on? So a month later, when I thought my life was shattered, Mr. Ducasse literally sweeps in like a bird, like an eagle, and saves me. Next thing you know, I'm in Monte Carlo at Louis Quinze's 3 Michelin star restaurant, staging there. And then thereafter, every other month, almost every month, I was cooking my food I did a tasting menu in his restaurant, which was the biggest honor of my life. So life has a funny way of speaking to us. So I'm 100% about failure. I'm all about risk. I'm all about being daring, but I'm all about respecting people. And I think that's a great segue into why I love Korean food, why I love Korean culture specifically. I think Korean culture is all about... Something burning here? It's okay? Do you have a fire extinguisher, please? That's why I really love Korean culture. I think, I know growing up in my family, respect was very important. And I think especially in a kitchen, it's very militant at times. But it's all about respect. And I think being a chef is all about respect. Respecting the ingredients. Respecting where... We're okay? Good. Excellent. Good. This is my Korean brother, Eric.
That's good.
Okay. Now, if this doesn't taste good by any way, we know who to blame. So let's just focus on that, please. Yeah, I think in the kitchen as a chef, we have to respect where the ingredient comes from, how to nurture it, not how to mask it, but how to be extractors. And I think what I do love about Korean culture, and I recently was in Korea, I believe it was in October. The culture is. And what I love about the food is it's such a preserved cuisine. It's a cuisine that hasn't been quote unquote bastardized. It's been passed down by family, by generation in a very respectful manner. I look at it as almost the untarnished cuisine. So that's very much my style of cooking. Is I like to pay respect and homage to the past, but I think it's very important that the past could evolve, and the past doesn't need to be forgotten, but it could evolve into the present. So I like to take flavors of the past with respect to the culture, bring them to today or to this generation or to the future. I think food should move people. I think, as I said, I was put on this earth for a specific reason. I think if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right, and I have to do it from my heart with all my passion. And I think food has to bring you to a place of the past, a memory of the past, create a memory for the future, or it has to bring you to present day. And I really want to touch people's hearts and touch their palates as well. So I'm going to go into a little slideshow. I had one of the biggest honors of my life. Any questions?
You said you're an extractor of flavors.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you give back to the food as well, or do you feel like you just taking?
Do I give back? I think I'm paying
to food in general and food culture.
Sure. So if I understand the question right, do I feel like, what's that? Yeah, do I feel like, the question is do I... Thank you. Obviously, you can see by my shirts I'm a Yankees fan. Just kidding. How's that better? So the question was, again, do I feel like I'm... Could you...
You said you're an extractor of flavors.
Sure.
Do you feel like you give back, and I'm sure you do, do you feel like you give back to the food culture, especially Korean food culture?
Yes, I think, well, that's a great question. Do I feel like I give back to specifically Korean food culture? 100%. I think my approach with Korean food specifically is, I think I said once again, like it's a cuisine that I believe has been untarnished. And I think especially the quote unquote like fermented world, there's a lot of like ingredients that are flavors and combinations that people might not understand, especially Westerners might not understand. And I think what I've done is I've kind of stepped in and I've created a bridge. And a great example is at my restaurant Social Eatz, right around the corner on 53rd between 2nd and 3rd, we've taken a hamburger, which I think arguably a lot of Americans like hamburgers, I would say, fair to say. So I've taken the flavors of a Bibimbap and we've made a Bibimbap burger. So I think my approach there is to be the conduit. The burger's the conduit, right? So the burger's the bridge. So I'm taking the traditional flavors, bringing them to a burger, and it's much more easier for people to understand that. So then they could always go back to tasting. Now they have that intrigue, like, why don't we go to K-Town or Flushing? Now let's just try the traditional Bibimbap, right? So that's very much my approach. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Any more difficult questions? Can we have them escorted out, please? So yes, so I had the honor of, I made this Bibimbap burger. Took a hamburger. Took really, if you were to close your eyes, you could really embrace the concept of a Bibimbap. We take the ground meat and we glaze it with a mixture of gochujang, which is a Korean chili paste, fermented Korean chili paste, sesame oil, a little soy sauce. And as the burger cooks, we just glaze that on so the flavors really saturate into the fats of the meat. And then we take just a nice, beautiful sesame bun. We actually put rice into the meat as well to get a nice sear. Bring out that beautiful love of the rice and flavor, toastiness of the rice flavor. And then we put some Korean pickles. I use cucumbers, carrots. We mix that with a mixture of sesame oil and bean sprouts. Gochujang, Japanese rice wine vinegar, a little sugar, a little sesame oil. And then we just cook a beautiful egg on top, which is just really luscious and amazing. So this Bibimbap burger was created. We won Best Burger in the country. And obviously brought a lot of national attention. Not only national attention, it brought global attention, especially from North Korea. No, I'm sorry, that was bad jokes. It brought a lot of attention from South Korea. And the First Lady actually came and tried the burger. It was really amazing. What a great honor. It's actually a funny story, but they barricaded the street. The Secret Service came in, frisked us, did the whole thing, told us to put our knives away. And all the Korean networks were there. It was like 10 networks. It was really crazy. The First Lady came. I basically had to practice for about a month of how to say her name in Korean. I think it's Yosanim, I think is the proper way to greet her. And I had to say a little phrase, and I had to give her a gift. So as this month, it went right down to the wire what the gift was. First, I'm like, oh, should I give her a tea? Nah, that's too generic. Should I give her a knife? No knife. No knife. Whew, thank God. And then I'm like, okay, I think I got it. So when I was on Top Chef, I borrowed a jacket. So I had a jacket that I was going to give to my son when he grows up, as a gift of what his father did when present day. So I had it engraved, Yosanim, Chef Yosanim. And so it's time for the gift exchange, and I'm so happy to give her this gift, and it's like gift exchange time, and I'm like, Yosanim here, this is the gift, and I give her this beautiful sappy story about my son. He has some medical problems, he can't walk or talk, and I was going to save this for him, and here, and she's like, oh, thank you so much. I'm like, no. No, that's funny. But what was amazing from that experience is she tried the Bibimbap burger. She loved it. And a month later, she invited me, the Korean government as well, sent me to Korea, which was just an amazing honor. I was, the Korean Foundation, obviously, in the government is putting a lot of money towards the exploration of Korean food. And it was an honor to be a part of the opening ceremonies of the 2011 Korean Food Expo. So it was really cool, me dressed up as a chef with my stylish clothes, and I'm meeting like ambassadors from Switzerland, Austria. I'm like, how are you? I'm Chef Angelo. And they're like, nice to meet you. And it was really cool. I got to sit in the front row with all the ambassadors, and obviously I couldn't understand anybody, so I had a translating earpiece, and they're playing the drums and everything, and there's all these. Don't worry, I'm going to cook eventually. So. All the networks are there, and then I think there's this boy band called Super Junior. So they're like, so I'm sitting in the front row with all these ambassadors. They're like, next, Super Junior is coming up, in Korean, of course. But all I understood was Angelo Sosa. So then there's 13 of them, 6 of them go up, and they're all about this tall, and then I'm there in the middle, like their father. And they're all like dressed up, makeup, the hair's swayed over like Dookie. And next thing I know, they're all like, and I just start doing it too. I was just like this, and I'm like, what's going on here? And next thing I know, they were bowing and doing whatever. I thought it was like they were playing Twister or something. But so then they're like, now Chef Sosa is going to speak. So I'm like, okay, great. So obviously, when you with the earpiece, there's a little lag time. So I'm like, thank you, for having me. It's such a great honor. And I'm like, obviously, I'm not part of the boy band. And everybody's like this. And then when the translation came, everybody just started laughing. So it was pretty funny. But here, now we're going to do a little click right here. Yeah, it was awesome. The Korean Food Expo, huge expo. It's really amazing what they're doing in Korea. The food, the evolution of even they're starting to bring in more modernistic food, which is very interesting, I think, and it is very well accepted. So it was very interesting to see the young students and the new generation of students because they had food shows and everything. So it was really cool to see. So this was the first time that on Korean Soya that I served the Bibimbap burger. And I tell you this, is they were very confused. They're like eating it and then they're like looking up at me and like, he's not Korean. So here at the Korean Expo. Yep, the Korean Expo. What do I have here? Yeah, I said, they felt the level of surprise when they ate the bibimbap. They felt the level of surprise and disbelief that I had made that, and they were constantly questioning me. But it was really amazing. They loved it. It was really cool. The Super Junior, that was fun. Bibimbap. The bibimbap, I had a real bibimbap in Korea, which was it was mind-blowing. And when I eat, I almost should eat alone because I get very obsessed and I get very lost and I just don't hear what's going on around me. So the bibimbap, just look at it. It's very seductive. Like you just want to eat the picture. The beautiful egg. There's some gochujang. And it's very interesting. They have some pine nuts here, which is beautiful with some beautiful bean sprouts. Yeah, and I think one thing that I definitely, what I took away from, one aspect I took away from the trip was I definitely was very proud of what we had created, myself and my team, what we had created of the bibimbap and how much attention that it did get. But it also really inspired me. And the whole trip, if you're to come to Social Eatz, the whole experience, we've literally almost changed, not the concept, but we've changed almost everything because of that trip. The menu has changed, the decor has changed. The drinks have changed. It's really I was just so inspired. I was so convicted that we just needed to make change. Gochujang. Gochujang. So this was the most mind-blowing. I'm just going to go a little bit forward, right here. So this is actually my mother. She's telling me to sweep. I had to sweep over there. No, I'm just kidding. So this lady right here. So it's really amazing. So these are the beautiful gochujang, the tanjang, and the ganjang. Ganjang? Thank you. These are the quote-unquote gochujang fields. It's just a mat. You see the sun setting. It's just so surreal. I felt like I was in like Crouching Tiger. It was so amazing. So these vats, that lady there, what was very exciting was, so as I'm touring through the country, this lady, I don't recall her name now. This is Soli Farms in Korea. She was very ill, and she's like, I could only stay, as we're on the bus driving in, her people are like, she could only stay a half an hour because she's very, very ill. And I went there, I met her, and we had so much chemistry that she ended up staying 4 hours. And she was I was enlightened. She could see how enlightened I was. She could see how passionate I was. So you just see how beautiful it is. So this area here, this gated area, and right behind her is a sock. It's a white sock. It has a couple brown spots. It was a little dirty, but that was a joke. But there's a sock, and basically the sock, what the sock and the gate does is this gochujang and the tanjang and the soy sauce that has been there for over 100 years, and the gate and the sock ward off evil spirits. And she literally will treat these containers or these vats like her children. This section specifically is to, if somebody's extremely, extremely ill, she rarely lets anybody taste it unless somebody's like on the brink of dying or has some cancer, and then she'll use this for medicinal reasons and help these people. But she'll literally take the vats off, there's a cheesecloth underneath, and she'll let them breathe, and she actually talks to them, which is really amazing. So she treats them like her children. And she let me in there, and she said, that I was the first American that's ever been in there. So that was great. But she literally stuck her finger in, and she let me taste the gochujang. And there was actually cameras on me. We did a segment with NBC as well, but I almost wish they weren't there because I didn't know how to even describe the experience, because it was just, I literally felt I was in a culinary heaven. It was really a transcending and a profound experience for me. And the soy sauce was aged. One of them was aged over 30 years, and it wasn't even salty, and it was just this experience. All these flavors. I never knew soy sauce could be so vibrant. I always thought it was not necessarily one dimension, but this one had a multitude of dimensions, and it's just nothing that I've ever tried before in my life. And it's a very different experience. If those of you who go to K-Town and buy gochujang in that red little bucket, definitely what she does is she packets all of her products in beautiful vases. It's really amazing. Here I'm just making some rice and beans. No, I'm joking. I'm making some makgeolli. Makgeolli is a traditional Korean drink made from rice. The rice is steamed in this big vat. It's soaked and then it's steamed. I think for around anywhere from 4 to 8 hours. It's steamed, and then it's basically shoveled out with that rake. That's a rake there. And then after the rake, then it goes into a process of fermentation. They put some spores in there, let the rice ferment. They sit it in these big vats, and then they put it, then they strain that, and then you have makgeolli. So I was able to take literally a ladle of the makgeolli from these big vats, and I was drinking it from the ladle. And after I actually went in for a little dip. You guys are warming up now. It's good. There's some wine and beverages back there, and I think you're doing massages as well, or? Okay. Yeah, the makgeolli was a lot of fun. This is mind-blowing. So here, we're actually on a movie set, and I had the privilege and the honor. I don't know the two of their names, but they're famous Korean actors and actresses, right? I don't know if you could recognize Kimchi family. Yes. Beautiful. Yeah, so we're making kimchi. So this is like probably hands down top 5 experiences of my life. I'm literally in the foothills of these mountains, bamboo mountains, fields, and I'm making kimchi outside. I felt so spiritual. I felt so connected. And just I'm going to show you a picture of all the colors. It was just really mind-blowing. And it's quite uncomfortable sitting like that, by the way. Just look at the colors. And I learned how to make traditional kimchi, and what was fascinating is they take rice flour, and they heat it with water, and they make like a paste, and they use that so that the chili mixture, the chili flakes, stick to the cabbage. It's really fascinating. So that's why it's very important for me to travel to understand some little techniques like that. Seeing something like that is just, I would have never known. And I think it's very important to take that tradition and tell that story. The story doesn't have to live and die there. It could live here as well. Wow. It kind of looks like a crab. Isn't that cool? But let me show you a better picture. This is fascinating. So this is, I'm not sure the name of the area. I don't know. Haman. We smoked some ganja here. It was quite pleasant. No, I'm just kidding. But you see the cabbage. It's so big, and it's about, I would say, anywhere from 5 to 8 pounds per cabbage. You see how vibrant the leaves are. You can see over here that says along the sea. And what's amazing is over here is a cabbage, but then to the other side of the road is figs. Who would ever think there was figs? But the minerality is so amazing from the sea and all the fresh salt water. So the greens were very vibrant. And then when you cut it open, and you eat, it's so sweet. It's literally like it's like sugar. And it's so clean, so fresh, so creamy. It was just mind-blowing. This was at the market, which was a blast. And they literally, you know, as those Koreans, you know, they ferment everything. It's really amazing. I had live squid. It was the craziest experience of my life. I'm almost embarrassed. So this is the story is, we've been traveling all day filming this show on NBC, which you could actually see it if you'd like. It's already aired, but it's on NBC. First look. We went to so the whole time I'm like, because I saw Kimchi Chronicles with Jean-Georges, and Jean-Georges eating the squid and putting it in his mouth when it's alive, and I'm like, wow, I got to do that. So the whole time I arrive, I'm like, we got to do the live squid. Where's the live squid? So one night I go to bed early. Everybody else goes out and they have live the next day. They're like, oh, we had live squid. I'm like, no, you did not. You did not. They're like, here, see the picture. I'm like, oh, God, you guys had live squid. So next we go out, and they're like, now it's your turn to have the live squid. I'm like, okay, of course I'm going to have it, you know. Give me the live squid. Where's the live squid? Next thing I know, I see a plate come out. I'm like, oh, my God, how am I going to eat this? I'm like, this is gross. And then I, like, pick up the squid, and everybody's, like, watching me. There's, like, 12 people there. I put it in my mouth, and the thing just goes, and I just threw it across the room. I was so embarrassed. So embarrassed. This is amazing. Let me just show you the picture. So I was a king for a day. I was a king for a day, and Jackie was my queen. And here, I don't recall her name, but she she teaches the traditional Korean dining experience. Over here are two of the head servants, and going back. Here is the feast from the traditional courses for kings. So basically what's amazing here is that everything here is made from the townspeople. And it's a way to show homage to the king and show homage to their crops and what they produce. And what's very cool is the two servants at the end have to taste everything prior to the king eats it in case it's poison. So that was interesting. And that was amazing. That's a hanbok. And it was just so fascinating to learn about this cuisine, so fascinating to hear about the past and tradition. And the food was so delicious. I almost ate the whole thing by myself, actually. So yeah. There you go. And a lot of my dishes from that trip, literally, I think that was in October or November. As I said, we changed the concept of Social Eatz. We kind of upped the ante. We changed the whole menu of more Korean. The majority of the menu, at least 90%, is very Korean-driven, to the point I even have another restaurant Mexican concept, and I've actually, believe it or not, I've introduced Korean flavors. It's not put on the menu, but they're just more background flavors. It's a very spice-induced cuisine, Mexican food, but there's a way actually to use items like gochujang. These are some of the dishes. We do a scallop and banana ceviche with gochujang at the Mexican restaurant, which is amazing. Of course, I don't call it gochujang there, but we do the twanjang, almost like it's like a miso, if you would, right? We do a salmon like a miso cod or a miso salmon. We do ours with the twanjang salmon. And in fact, I've been so ambitious that I'm making my own twanjang at home. And I am getting evicted soon because of the smell is just terrible. Yes?
What's the name of the Mexican restaurant?
It's called Añejo. It's called Añejo Tequileria. It's on 47th and 10th. Did you enjoy it? Oh, you haven't? Oh, okay. Yes?
Are you going to have Groupon for it soon?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to have a Groupon for it soon?
I didn't hear the question. I'll let Ricky answer that question. Yes? Is that something we'll do? It's very reasonably priced. We really want people, it is a tequileria, and we serve home-style Mexican food. The prices are super reasonable. We really want people to see the beauty of tequila. So we offer flights and many exciting things like that. So, yeah. Any questions? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
David Chang is doing similar things.
Oh.
Do you guys ever talk? I mean, he obviously has similar interests. Do you ever compare notes or
Do we ever compare notes? No, we don't. It's not that we have indifferences. I just I don't know him on that level. I mean, I do know him. We just don't converse on that level. Yeah.
How would you distinguish yourself then?
From David Chang?
Yeah. I don't mean that as an insult or
Not
as
at all. How would I distinguish myself? It's a great question. Let me think about this one first. So I will say this, and I'm not saying that he doesn't do this. I'm just saying this is very much my style. I believe in what's called the Y factor, the yummy factor. I think I'm a chef that it's one thing to. I'm not somebody who makes food cerebral. It has to be approachable. It has to be yummy. The bottom line, does it taste amazing? I think that's very much my philosophy, and I like to take flavors of, once again, of the past. Bring them to today's generation in many ways that people could just embrace it and understand it, because it's such an easier bridge for me to go back to the tradition. So if I show them something that they could understand, then I could tell the story of the past. So that's very much my approach, if that answers your question.
How did you first get exposed to Korean food or Korean flavors?
Sure. So I have, going back to Social Eatz, my partners are Korean. They definitely inspired me and challenged me, and I definitely accepted that challenge. And I'm really somebody who I get very obsessed about things, and I really just put myself, literally encapsulate myself in that cuisine and culture. The same with Mexican food. I don't look at my style of cooking is I don't look at it defined by a cuisine per se. It's based upon flavor profiles: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, umami. There's actually a plethora of different flavors. So I guess one other thing that I did leave out about the book, not only is it approachable for the home cook, but I talk about what is called like a trinity. I believe every single dish, whether it's a French fries, hamburger, foie gras, escargot, there's always a trinity of flavors that exist. There's always three flavors that are really kind of like your mother flavors. I've taken years of my life to understand, so I believe that there's over 25 different flavors that exist, from sweet, sour, salty, bitter, umami, earthy, floral, green. Green is actually a flavor. Metallic is a flavor. Metallic exists in cucumbers, exist in caviar. But what I've done is so like a great example is in Chinese culture you have sweet, sour, salty, right? You've heard of that. So using that premise, I basically spent the time to understand which flavors work best together to have that same reaction as sweet, sour, salty. So it could be like sweet, earthy, spicy, right? So does that make sense? So a great example would be there's multiple ingredients that are sweet. An orange is sweet. A grapefruit could actually be sweet. Apricots are sweet. Honey is sweet. Maple syrup is sweet. Spicy. That could be a jalapeno. It could be chipotle. It could be a number of things. So, any other questions? Yes.
Can you describe the kimchi fries on the menu?
Sure. They're succulent kimchi. No, they're. Yep. Yes. Oh, I can't give out my phone number. I'm sorry. Could you describe the kimchi fries on the menu at Social Eatz? We do a kimchi fries with the Bibimbap burger. We do these cucumber kimchi with all the burgers. They get cucumber kimchi and kimchi fries for the dinner service. So the kimchi fries are just fried, so golden. Nope, fried golden, deep fried. And then we make a kimchi salt. There's garlic powder, onion powder, dried shrimp, Korean chili flakes, vinegar powder. So it's all in a powder form, and we just dust it as if you would eat seasoned with salt. Any other questions? Okay. So you want to do a little cooking? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So these recipes are in the this recipe is in the cookbook. I believe it's called the fiery Korean satay. I can't really see. Fiery Korean satay. I'm using pork. How cooking. I think going back to that concept of not failing, but taking a risk, being a risk taker, being a little bit daring. I think cooking is all about an expression. A recipe is a guideline. A recipe it's not the 10 Commandments. I think there has to be leeway of emotion. So, for example, if you're feeling beef, if you don't eat pork, If you want beef, you can even do this with shrimp, with lobster, with duck. I think it would be amazing. But here we're going to use pork. We're going to use a fatty pork, okay? Something with a lot of fat. Fat is flavor. Fat is moisture. This is a pork butt. So you can cut, as I said, you could. I do things, you know. I'll cut it one way. You could cut it another way. It's just what you feel and how you wanna cook. So what we're gonna do here, as I said, a lot of these recipes are. I mean, the majority of the recipes in the book are super simple, but they're exciting. Especially if you want to impress somebody on a date, it's very exciting. So what we have here is. So what I like to do too as well is I'll take a concept, like for example, a bibimbap burger. Or tomato soup is even a better example. I have a tomato soup on the menu, and with that tomato soup, so that's the concept. But behind a tomato soup, there's ginger, lemongrass, gochujang, onions. So when you eat it, it's just like, oh my God. That topped with a beautiful, softly whipped cream is a curried whipped cream. It's just amazing. So basically what my point is I'm taking a concept, but then I'm bringing flavors all over the world, from Japan, from Vietnam, from Thailand, from wherever, from Korea, putting them in to extract that, you know, that concept. So what we're going to do here is make a marinade for the pork. It's sesame oil. You could do this in a blender if you want, or you could just do it in a bowl. This table is a little short. I'm just going to kneel. No. Sesame oil, Korean chili flakes, sriracha. I'm a huge fan of sriracha. I love sriracha. I love not only the heat, but I love there's also like a little acidity from it, which I think is amazing. I use yuzu. Yuzu is a Japanese citrus. A little pricey, but it has that flavor that would just take it to the next level. So you can use lemon juice, or lime juice is totally fine as well. But I think a great savor would be lemon juice. Some gochujang, which is the Korean chili paste, which is amazing. I actually personally, I think it would probably be my goal to see it like, I think it will be like the next ketchup. I think it would find its place definitely in like a Whole Foods. I think it deserves that respect. Soy sauce for salt. And if you're somebody who can't take in much salt, like I would really not recommend like an iodized salt. I would actually prefer, if you have a kosher salt, that's fine, but I think the best salt on the market is a Himalayan salt. I think it has the most nutrient content out of any other salt. It's good for your body as well. So what we're going to do is just cut actually let me just make the marinade. So literally it's this easy. You're just going to put it in a bowl and mix it up. That easy. You can keep it rustic and chunky if you want, or you could just blend it in a blender and make it beautifully smooth. It's what you feel, okay? Any questions? We do, and we made some here today, and I'll actually give you my little recipe. I actually use sugar is a very interesting thing. Well, if you can't eat a lot of sugar, I would highly recommend agave. I think agave is great for your sugar levels, for your blood levels, regulates your blood levels. But sugar is very important. Sugar, like salt, is an enhancer. It extracts more flavor, heightened flavor. I think sugar does the exact same thing. So just because you add sugar, that doesn't mean that it will make it sweet. Sugar, so if you had a graph, like if you could just imagine a graph, just imagine this is flavor, right? Or like a spiciness of this sauce, right? What sugar does is it just rounds off flavors, right? Salt will heighten and sugar will just round them off and put them in the balance. So I'm a big fan of using sugar or something like agave or a sweetener in my food. Just going to mix this up. What's that? I do actually. I put a little sugar in there, just a little bit. It depends on the tomatoes. If they're vine ripe tomatoes, if they're super sweet, no. But if they're canned tomatoes, they're a little bit. They've been in the can for a while. They're a little bit more acidic. Maybe you taste a little bit of the aluminum flavor. I would add a little sugar to it. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to call me honey. Chef Angelo's fine. No, I'm just kidding. What we're going to do here is, so that's a great example. So going back to this trinity of flavors. So that's a sweet ingredient. So something that's sweet, there's a multitude of sweet things. You could use honey. You could use maple syrup. Maple syrup, you're going to get a little bit more caramel flavor. If you use molasses, you'll get an amplified caramel flavor. You'll get a deeper depth. So if you use agave honey, I think it's a very similar. But yes, you could use probably any of those ingredients. It just depends on, I think, what you're feeling and what you're in the mood for. What I'm going to do is just take the pork here. I personally, I'm a big fan of grilling. I would just, if you don't have a grill at home, you could use a pan. This is on, right? You could use a pan. You could get an oven top or a burner with a grill. Or I personally would grill these. I think it would be amazing. Now, obviously, the thicker that you're going to cut them is the longer it's going to take to cook. The thinner you cut them, it'll probably cook too fast and maybe slightly overcook. Could you get a shorter table next time, please? Just gotta mix this up. And when you want to do, let's just say you get home from work. I mean, you saw how quick that took me. You get home from work, or even you're just doing this right before you go to work. Just marinate it. If I'm going to marinate it for like an hour or two, I would just leave it out at room temperature. Put plastic on the surface. Put it in a Ziploc bag. Leave it out. Let the flavors. The room temperature, let the flavors will inoculate and inject into the meat and be much more flavorful at a rapid point. If you put it into the fridge, it just takes a little bit longer time to marinate. I would say, marinate this at, I would say, a minimum of an hour. And the longer you marinate it, I think the better it'll get. But I think if you over-marinate it, it would definitely start to cook within itself. And the aromas are, I wish you could smell this. It's just amazing. Skewers, a little trick is if they're wooden skewers, soak them in water, basically, so you won't get those hairs from the skewer. Okay, so the water will just contract the wood. Okay. Things weren't going well. I just had some tequila here. No, it's not tequila. Do we have some ready for them to taste? Yeah? You want to start? And I think what's beautiful about these is when cooking with meats in general, or whenever you cook in a pan, very important to not overcrowd your pan. What I mean by that is, let's just say in this pan I'm going to cook chicken. I don't want to cook all the chicken at once. It's very important to have surface area so that once again, you're an extractor. You want to bring out the flavors. You want to release all those flavors so your food will be quote unquote yummy. So you get those beautiful caramelization like so. Maybe we could just wipe this off. And then now what we're going to do is I'm going to serve a kimchi. Maybe you could, Eric, maybe we could just, you just want to put this here. I'll just put this here. I'm going to make, so this is my recipe for kimchi pickles. So literally it's that easy. Kimchi pickles, these are Israeli cucumbers or Persian cucumbers. You could use a domestic if you want. I think it's a little bit, it's pretty, the skin is pretty tough. European cucumber, the one that's in the cellophane, I would use if you can't get these. What I would do here, just going to cut them like so. Cut them a little thick. I'll tell you why. So I don't know if could you all see that? It's about a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch. You want to cut them thick because what we're going to do here is we're going to salt them. The point of salting them, not only for flavor, to season them, is to draw out all the moisture. The cucumber has a lot of moisture content, so you really want to take out all the moisture so that you're not losing the flavor of the marinade. Any questions? Gonna do here, put them in a bowl, salt them up. You salt them for how long? I probably say a solid half an hour. Salt them, mix them up. Then what you're gonna do is take a cloth like so, soak them in water. After you salt them, soak them in water, and then just squeeze them. So I would say, now I'm gonna give you my personal recipe because this isn't in the cookbook. So I would say if you want it. You guys want it or no? Okay. So it is, I would say, 2 cups of cucumbers, 1/8 of an inch thick. Salt, I would say for 2 cups, I would say about 6 tablespoons of salt. So it might seem a lot of salt, but the salt really needs to go in there, do its dirty work, and get out of there. It's got to draw out all that moisture, okay? And then what you're going to do after it salts for about a half an hour. Then you're going to cover it with water and then drain it and then squeeze it, okay? So don't squeeze it so much where they start to break apart. Just squeeze it, okay? After you squeeze it, then you're going to take, I would say, a quarter of a cup of gochujang, 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. You could use agave here. You can use any type of sweetener. You could even use honey if you'd like. I use sugar. I use, you kicking me out? No? We're okay? Okay. I would use 4 tablespoons of sugar. I would use 1 cup of vinegar. I personally use Japanese vinegar. I think it's very clean. You could use you could just use a regular basic white vinegar, not a red vinegar. And then you could add, if you don't use dried shrimp, you could use fish sauce. If you don't even want fish sauce, you don't have to put it in. But I would use 3 tablespoons of fish sauce. And then I'd use a tablespoon of Korean chili flakes. And I would just marinate it. And that's it. Call it a day. I would do this in advance. I would make, tubs of it, and I would just keep it in the fridge. And this is something that I eat with pizza all the time. I love eating, cheese pizza with kimchi. I think it's the greatest thing. But that's it.
How long did they last?
The pickles? Very long time. I would say months. But I think it's very important if you open a jar, make sure you're not taking your hand and put it in and wiggling it around. Take a fork, just so you don't contaminate the liquid. What's that? Not for this one. Not for this type of kimchi. For a traditional, yes. But this is just a cucumber kimchi. But for my traditional garlic, fish sauce, fish stock. Yeah. Any questions? No? Yes?
You miss being on a reality cooking show, plan on being in another cooking competition?
I did dye my gray hairs today, so. Do I miss being on a reality? This is what I miss. I like to teach people. I like to be on TV. I think I like to be on TV. I would like to have my own cooking show. It doesn't have to be, I don't prefer that it's not a reality show. Yeah, I think, I would love to just show people technique, very simple recipes, and it doesn't all have to be so complicated. It's very approachable, and make it fun. Any other questions? Yes.
Have you done anything with pachan, the Korean pancake form? It's a rice meal based, and it's usually scallions and
Mm-hmm.
seafood.
Hmm. I love it. I think it's amazing. I love it. I think it's something that I'm gonna work on. I'm gonna start working on that. I think my next step right now, I'm in the phase we're gonna start barreling our own. I was thinking about a technique instead of literally burying the kimchi. I want to get like barrels, like wine barrels or whiskey barrels, and age the kimchi in that. So I think that will be maybe my next phase, one of my next ventures, doing something with that. Yes.
Is there another cuisine that you're really interested in pursuing?
Definitely Mexican, but specifically Oaxacan food. I think the Oaxacan spices. I'm very into spices. I think spices could be sexy. People could really like spices. It's not like Indian spice, like they're so afraid of it. I think as a chef, I think I have a way with my hands that I could really extract flavors that they won't be so intimidating to people.
What is unique about Oaxaca?
I think it's the spice mecca of the world. I love the whole. I love that old kind of. When I picture Oaxaca, I picture like grandmother's cooking, those old stews that just braise for hours. I think there's a lot of love with that, and I definitely think home style cooking is definitely coming back to people's hearts. So, yes.
Is there really a tequila that goes? I'm sorry. Is there really a tequila that goes with Korean food? And if so, which one?
Awesome. That's a great question. Wow. Here, you want to try some? No. Let's see. Yeah, I think awesome question. I think tequila would 100% go, especially with the spiciness. I think there's a lot of tequilas that could literally, especially like a blanco, so like a white tequila, a young tequila, could literally cleanse through all that richness if there is heaviness. And not only that, but the spiciness of, and really complement it beautifully. I think it would be amazing, actually. Any other questions? No? Cool. Well, you can feel free to come up. Do we actually have forks? Or they're just kind of like, use the skewer. Yeah, feel free to come up and have a little nibble here. Once again, if you don't like it, just talk to Eric here. So we have this is once again the fiery Korean satay with pork with some beautiful cucumber kimchi. Yeah, please, you can all come around and just grab it.
Be careful of the fork on the floor.
And then you could use the skewer as a utensil to pick up the cute. Hello. You're very welcome. Here you go. Mm-hmm. Here you go. Enjoy.
Thank you. Have you spent similar time in Mexico? I mean,
That's probably going to be my next trip, is Mexico.
but you have a restaurant that's...
I do. I've spent a lot of time studying the cuisine at depth.
You like mezcals?
Love it. We have very...
No, I've been to your
Oh, you
restaurant.
have?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I didn't realize it was your restaurant.
Yeah.
And you have more mezcals than I've seen anywhere.
We have very rare bottles, too, that don't... There's only... We're the only ones that have the bottles. Yeah. Yeah.
You serve it. It's served differently.
Mm-hmm. Tequila, yes, yes. I love the smokiness of the mezcal. I think it's amazing. I think the whole process is beautiful too.
That's the one that you just made.
Mind blowing.
Hi. Good,
Hello.
You're excellent. I know who you are.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Okay. Okay. What was that? I'm sorry? Oh, right, right. Yep, 53rd between 2nd and 3rd. It's called Social Eatz. I'm embarrassed to say I don't. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Pleasure to meet you. Angelo.
I'm page judge,
Ah,
and
we'd love to have you, please. Yeah. It's so exciting. I think we came in at the right time. It's really exciting. Thank you so much. Thank you. They have discount for it's actually pretty reasonable. They have special menus, prefix menus that are very reasonable. Hmm. Yeah. Now, you could also eat in the Nougatine. I think it's a $25 menu for 3 courses. Yep. Exactly. Excellent. Excellent. Great question. There's one that's called pechuga. It's Ricky. What's the name of that one? The one with the pechuga.
Sobala mezcal. It's a pechuga. They actually age it with chicken breast.
Yeah, they age it in chicken breast. Exactly. Yep.
Oh,
No.
not with all that alcohol. No way.
No. Rick, how do you?
seems like everyone else had it.
Do you know how to spell that by any chance?
T-O-B. T-O-B. And there's a few different ones that make it.
Everybody get one? How is it?
It's a little bit more.
Any questions? No? What's that? Cool, cool. Yeah, and we're actually changing the menu Thursday, so we have a lot more new dishes that we're pretty excited about.
Do you typically very good thing? Do you typically incorporate hot and cold in your menu, or like in your personal cooking?
You guys temperature?
Like cold soups or something like that. I know this is supposed to be served hot, and cucumbers, I'm assuming, cold, served cold.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Asian culture, it's all about cuisine, it's all hot and cold. And it's very much like yin and yang, so I think I would definitely say off of that. Because temperature definitely, especially if the cucumbers are, if they were hot, they would be very watery, they wouldn't be fun. If they're cold, they get that might feel accentuate the texture.
We'll try to do it more, less mainstream Korean dishes and more dishes that aren't as well known. Bibimbap is more mainstream.
Are you asking me would I do that? Yes. First I have to get people in the door, and then now that's our next step. Is start to introduce. I have an amazing concept I want to do with punch. I have a concept that I want to do with punch. I think it's never been done before. Not yet, but